Button. All right, you're on the cloud. So, um, this isn't going to be a great meeting. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be a great meeting. But you guys probably knew that this was coming. Okay. So, we're going to digest a lot of information and talk about a lot of information. Most of it is going to be fairly high level. All right. And the reason it's going to be fairly high level is because really, uh, the stuff that we're talking about, we've gotten into the weeds with this stuff over and over and over and over and over again, and I just don't feel like we need to really get into the weeds on it again. Now, with that said, if you want detail or you're wondering why is he saying what he's saying, or I've forgotten what we covered on that topic in previous meetings, please say so, and we'll go there, okay? But in order to try and get you in and out of here as quickly as possible with as much info as I can give you as quickly as possible, we're not going to deep dive into the weeds on a lot of the stuff. We're going to stay pretty high level. Some of the information that we'll be talking about today comes from the MLS, right? When I start to talk about pending and sold units for different time periods, that's straight out of MLS. That's MLS data. Um, Full transparency, what I do with that MLS data, when I know where I'm trying to go with it, or I know what kind of analysis I'm trying to do through it, I throw it into my good buddy Chat GPT. I tell it what I'm looking for. I tell it to compare and contrast and do all of this stuff, and it spits out a bunch of percentages. It's awesome. By the way, I used to have to do that. So now I'm going to talk about AI every week. Now, instead of that prep taking me an hour, it takes about 3 minutes. So some of it's MLS data. Some of it is just plain old economic data that you're hearing. You know, you get emails, you watch newscasts, you do those kinds, just plain old economic data, right? It's not going to be shocking. And then some of it, w will have come from the NextHome conference that was just a week or so ago, the national conference. Malia went and repped us. She went to the conference. She's a regular conference goer. I hope that you all transition into regular conference goers. At some point in time, I'm going to do a meeting just so Malia can talk to you guys about conference and get you fired up and answer all your questions and understand why it's important. She's going to do a much better job of telling you why it's great than I am. Okay, so one of these days I'm going to have her do that. But ultimately, I think that particularly producing agents, they must go. And what's really interesting, you guys, you probably know because we talked about it at the dinner, and I've talked to you guys about it in passing, but Malia was an owner, right? So she was a broker owner for years. I mean, she owned a brokerage before she bought a NextHome franchise. She's a broker owner for years, and independent for years, very, very established broker owner in Yuba Sutter. And when we got together a couple of days ago and she kind of debriefed me on conference, I don't know exactly how it came up, but the point is, she said, it's a much different experience going to conference as an agent versus going as an owner. I go, yeah, whenever I go, I always leave conference. I don't feel motivated. I feel like, holy crap, I have so much to do. I'm not getting this done. I'm not up to speed here. I'm not getting this information to my people. I'm not getting my people trained. I'm a freaking horrible real estate broker. That's how I feel when I leave a conference or a summit. I feel like a failure as a real estate broker. I mean, we have some fun and some kind of energizing, motivating, I hate that word, motivating stuff. But the general feeling is, man, I got a lot of work to do. She used to feel the same way. It was interesting. She said, yeah, I used to feel the exact same way. But when she went as an agent, she said it was awesome. It was inspiring. It was fun. She had a great time. She left fully motivated. She left supercharged. I've never been as an agent. So it's a really interesting perspective. And I think that based on that perspective, because I do trust her opinion quite a bit, agents should go. Like you guys should absolutely go. This is not a meeting about conference. We'll get into more about that later, but I wanted to share that with you while it's fresh in my mind. Why are we here today? Okay, so about the middle of last year, and I've said this before and I was wrong, but about the middle of last year, I said, all right, folks, it is time to, hey, Michael, you remember that show Max Headroom from the 80s? That's what your camera's doing right now, buddy.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, that.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I'm turning your camera off. Where are you?
Yeah.
Michael, Michael, Michael. Yeah. Okay. Um, I said, folks, it's time to buckle up. It's time to get back down to basics. It's time to really hone our systems. It's time to hone what we do. It's time to remember what makes us great in real estate because this economy and this market is really going to ramp up. You're going to have a bunch more opportunity that you haven't had for the past 2 years. It's going to be awesome. You're going to make all this money. You're going to have transactions flowing. Everything's going to be great. And I had said that at the beginning of 24 and I was wrong. I had said that at the beginning of 25 and I was wrong. And I said that midway through 2025 and I was right. All right. I was absolutely right. Beginning in about November of 2025, activity in our markets, our primary markets, really started to heat up in a way that we hadn't seen probably in a couple of years. And that continued into early 2026. By the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026, I was the definition of bullish. I was like, hey, Brendan, we're going to spend all this money. We're going to inject this money into our business. We're going to start these new programs. We're at the bottom of the wave. The wave's starting to ramp up. I'm feeling really, really positive about this. Most people feel the same way that I do. It's not just my mental, you know, process going on. There's transaction data to back it up. The rates are going in a positive direction. It's all lining up. It's going to be really awesome. And that was true. That was 100% true. That was true in November. That was true in December. That was true in January. That was true in February. That was true in the beginning of March. Okay. And then something happened. I don't need to tell you what it was. Something happened. A worldwide global event happened, and there is all this ancillary stuff that is coming from that. Full disclosure, this is not a political discussion. This is not a discussion on where you are, with the military Iraq, the military action in Iran. Okay, it's not any of those things. This is an absolutely pure economical discussion. That's what it is. All right, and that's all it's going to be. Good. All right. So when that happened, I felt lots of other people that I know felt we kind of lost some momentum. The pause button got hit, right? But you know me. I never want to blame outside things for what's happening or what I think is happening in the market. I'm all about data, right? I want to know what's happening. So let me give you some numbers. What I did was I took our four primary county markets. It's actually five, but I combined Sutter and Yuba, right? So we've got Nevada County, Placer County, Sac County, and Sutter Yuba County, right? Stay with me. November through February, if I say how many pending and closed sales were there in November through February, here's the numbers. In Nevada County, it was 332 total for an average of 110 a month. In Placer County, it was 1,357 total for an average of 452 a month. In Sacramento County, it was 3,476 total with an average of 1,158 a month. In Sutter and Yuba counties, it was 450 total with an average of 150 a month. You with me? Okay, that's pretty good. That feels pretty good. If you're not real familiar with those numbers, those are pretty good numbers for late in a year moving into the beginning of a year. It's pretty good, especially in Sacramento County, almost 3,500. That's pretty good. Okay. I said, well, that's pretty good. What about March all by itself? And now we're going to compare it to the average, right? So my initial thought was, yeah, if I take November through February and I come up with a total and then I break it down into a monthly average, the March number is going to be below the monthly average. That's what I thought was going to happen. Okay. And that's what I kind of based my meeting on. This is what's going to happen. Here's what really happened. In Nevada County, the 3 month average was 110 per month. In March, the number is 158. Okay. In Placer County, the monthly average is 452. The March number is 673. In Sacramento County, the monthly average is 1,158. The March number is 1,659. In Southern Yuba County, the monthly average is 150. The March number is 193. So then I thought, well, holy crap. No, it's not the market. It's me. I'm just no good, right? It's not the market. It's me. So then I had a little light bulb moment. Bing, right? You look at a calendar, you find out when certain things happen, and then you go, oh no, what I really want to know is what happened the last 2 weeks of March? Because March is almost done, right? So what happened from March 15th to now? Here's the 2 week pending numbers. Pending because if it went into contract on March 15th, it probably hasn't closed. Yeah. The pending numbers are Nevada County 45, Placer County 172, Sacramento County 449, Southern Yuba County 56. I don't know what any of that means. So I throw it into the engine. And here's what it means. It means I was right. In the prior 4 month period before March, these were the increases in pending and sold sales per county. Nevada, 90%. Placer, 98%. Sacramento, 91%. Yuba Sutter, 72%. Hard surge of activity. That's why a bunch of you were getting stressed out. That's why a bunch of you are like thinking I can't keep up. That's why you can't keep up with your presentations. You can't keep up with your buyers. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're not available to do open houses because you're too busy showing. We've got escrows going through the brokerage. Everybody's happy, but a little bit busy and hectic because we're not used to it anymore, right? But we say, hey, that's great. But then I asked the engine, okay, analyze that 2 week pending number and compare it to those other averages and tell me what's happening in the past 2 weeks. Nevada County down 43, Placer down 49, Sacramento down 46, and Yuba Sutter down 42. There it is. Okay? There it is. What does that mean for us moving forward? My money says that continues for a while. Okay. And instead of being in the position that I was initially, and that a lot of people were that are smarter than me initially when we started talking about 2026, where we said, this is going to be a good growth year. It's not going to be 2005 and it's not going to be 2021, but it's going to be a good growth year. Everybody now is retracting, myself included, to say, unfortunately, guys, 2026 is probably going to feel an awful lot like 2025. All right. Here's the quote from James Dwiggins, our CEO from conference. Thanks to Malia for recording the quote. His 2026 forecast says, plan now for 2026 to be like 2025 and pray that I'm wrong. And to be clear, I hope I am wrong. However, some of you will grow your business anyway because you listened to your customers' needs and took market share from your competition. That's the name of the game in 2026. Take market share from your competition. Okay. Now, before you get all stressed out and bummed out and decide, you know what, real estate just isn't for me because it's been too shitty for too long. Oops, too crappy for too long. And maybe I'd just go out and start flipping burgers or doing something like that because at the end of the day, the hourly rate of pay is probably better than what I've earned in 2024 and 2025. Okay. Before you go there, I want to remind you of something. And those of you who were at the dinner got to hear me talk about this. In the midst of the worst 2 years that I've ever seen in real estate, half of the people associated with our brokerages saw increases in production and sales volume. All right. Did they work hard? Yes. Do they have systems and are they good at their craft? Yes. Are they dedicated to real estate? Yes. Are they mystical super power superhero non-planetary beings? No. They're just like you and they're just like me. Was there some luck involved? Probably. Okay. But you know what? I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. All right. And who was it? Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan? I don't remember which one. He said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's one of my favorite quotes. So it is possible. What I also said at that launch party was what's most impressive about what they were able to achieve in 2025 is an increase for them when everybody else in the world was going the opposite direction means that they were masters of capturing market share. Capturing market share is a politically correct and business class correct way of saying stealing other people's business. That's the translation for capturing market share. To go along with what James said for his marching orders of 2026, if you're going to be successful in 2026, you will have to do that. Make sense? If the market is shrinking or the market is flat and you want to increase, that means that you're taking business from someone else. Okay. And I don't want to talk about this in terms of an aggressive, non-ethical, sharky kind of way. That's not what we're proposing. What we're proposing is that you do things better, you show up more often than those that don't. And because you do things better and because you show up more often, the consumer chooses you rather than who they might have chose by default, right? That's taking market share in a very professional way. That's what you're going to have to do. That's what you're going to have to focus on. How do we do that? How do we do that? I talk about AI every week. And I probably will talk about AI every week from here until who knows when, because every week that I use AI, I learn something new and I think it's cool and I want to share it with you. All right. Everybody else does the same thing. AI this, AI that, automated this, automated that. There's more money being made in the AI industry and software companies that incorporate AI than in any other industry in the world, even oil. Okay? This is big, big money. And it's because our appetite for this stuff, so that we don't have to work as hard, so that we can have things automated, so that something can do the thinking for us, is voracious. Okay? That's the direction the world's going. Like it or not, that's the direction the world is going. Stay with me. When you show up as a human being, face to face, belly to belly, that's what the James says, and I don't like that term, belly to belly. I say face to face. When you show up as a real human being, face to face, and you smash palms, right? And you show interest and you have a conversation, a human conversation with as many people as you possibly can, that is refreshing. That's the new thing that makes you different. That's the new thing that makes you stand out. Oh, okay, Damian. So all I got to do is go out and say hi to a million people. No. All right. You also need to be professional. You need to understand what's happening in the market. You need to understand and be able to articulate what it is that you do as a real estate agent, realtor that other realtors, real estate agents don't do. Why you're better, why you're a better choice, what your brokerage offers, what you offer, what kind of marketing you do, what your process is. The only person that sent me the email with remember last week I said, send me an email with your programs. five bullet point items for how you list a property, five bullet point items for uh, how you rep a buyer. Send me those. If you want to get better, you'll send them to me. If you don't want to get better, you won't. It's on you. I only got one email. Shelby, good job. You're in here. I see you. Okay. One, right? So I guess the rest of you just know what it is and you got it down cold. That's great. Okay. But you've got to know what that is. You've got to be able to regurgitate it at a moment's notice in a way that's fun to listen to. You have to do those things. But what I'm saying is you have to put yourselves in positions to develop, nurture, and build on personal relationships. That is what's going to make you the choice. That is how you're going to take market share. I'm not the only one saying it. The smart people at NextHome that are way smarter than me agree. Okay. The more automated we get, the more personal our business becomes. I truly believe that. The more automated the world gets, the more the consumer will yearn for a real person, a real expert, a real, true, local knowledge professional, right? Someone who actually picks up the phone and calls instead of texts. Because now they don't even know. Is it him texting? Is it a bot texting? Who's texting? Right? They don't know. So you pick up, you want to blow your client's mind or a prospect's mind? When they send you a text, call them. They'll probably send you to voicemail. Okay. But then you can just leave a message like, oh, hey, I just thought we'd chit chat about that instead of text on it. No problem. I'll go back to the text. Click. Okay. Strategic personal appearances, strategic uh, personal touches. You need to spend more time focusing on the people that you already know that already love you, right? Make sure that you're reaching out and contacting them. Just checking out to see how they're doing, right? Please don't be one of those people that's like, hey, I called to tell you about all of the great things happening in the real estate market and how it might benefit you. Click. Nobody wants to hear that. Right? What they want to hear is, hey, how's it going? How's kids? Right? Yeah, baseball season. I was thinking about John. How old is he now? That kind of stuff. Right? All of the industry experts, and I don't know if I land square on this because of the way that our markets are situated. All of the industry experts say that the more global we get, the more local you must become. Right? So as the world gets global, and for years and years and years, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm Damian. I'm a great real estate broker. I service Placer, Nevada, uh, Sacramento, El Dorado, Yolo, Yuba, Sutter counties. That's me." The industry experts now say, "Hey, my name's Damian. I'm an expert, and I'm the neighborhood expert for the greater Auburn area." Right? That's what gets attention. That's what makes people want to use you. Because every other dang real estate agent in the world's like, I sell real estate all over the state of California. No, you don't. Like, you literally don't. We know you don't. Your customers know you don't. Local, personal, showing up, paying attention to your sphere, community events, being invested in your community. That's what the world's going to yearn for. That's what's going to help grow your market share. Okay. But Damien, you say we got to use AI all the time. Yes. I want you to AI everything in your business, in your marketing and your posting and everything you can. I want you to AI it so that your time is free. You free up more time, bless you, to do the things that we're talking about doing. That's the power of AI. Okay. The power of AI is to do all of the busy work stuff that we spend so much time doing because we have to, and using it to cut that down so that we can then go out and show up, so that I can show up for you guys, so that I can show up for my clients. Right? Think about that. Okay. Let's shift gears. If there's less business to be had, And the agent count's declining, by the way. We also learned a little bit about that at the conference. The agent count's declining, and I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But it's going to take some time. So if there's less business to be had and there's more agents, that means that out in the electronic world, more agents are fighting for, I'll just call them the clicks, the leads, right? You got to win the search battle, right? You got to win the search battle. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to email it to you, man, maybe tonight, but if I don't email it to you tonight, I'll email it to you at some point tomorrow. It's an AI question and an AI project. And here's the point. Sorry, I'm not really linear right now. I apologize for that. You remember when I told you guys over and over and over again, and it's even in your agent folder, in your new agent docs folder, when I told you that when you're setting up electronic profiles all across the internet, that you have to have the same bio and you have to cut and paste the same bio everywhere, right? And you have to make sure it's consistent because that's how Google works. And I said you just got to do it. Everybody nods up and down. I remember you saying that. Yeah. Okay, it's a little different now. And the reason it's a little different now is because of AI. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to do this AI project that's going to rewrite your bio for you. Okay. And it's going to give you, and I'm just going to shrink this down. There's going to have to be a level of trust. It's going to give you probably two bios. It's going to give you a full-length bio that you basically put everywhere, and it's going to give you a short-length bio that you put on your social media pages. Okay. And the reason for that is that Google search and AI search and social media search all work a little bit different. Okay. They all have different triggers now because the algorithms are all changing for these different engines, for lack of a better term. So you have to be a little bit different to make sure that you're remaining effective on those different platforms. Because where's the number? I don't know where it is. This blew my mind. It was an extraordinarily high number. Malia signed off. It was an extraordinarily high number. She would have known what it was of people now find real estate agents. Like 60% now find real estate agents through an AI engine, not a Google search. So your bio now has to be optimized for AI search. It has to also be optimized, obviously, for Google search. And then it has to be optimized in a different way for social media search. So here's basically what the project looks like that you're going to put into your favorite AI bot. And again, I'm going to copy and paste what I did. I'm going to send it to you in email so you can copy and paste and tweak however you want to tweak. Step one, find your bio, copy and paste it into a notepad somewhere where you can get to it easily. Step two, enter the text that I'm going to send you into your AI engine that says basically something like this. Hey, read my bio. Then I want you to interview me and ask whatever questions you need to ask of me, and I will answer them so that you can create a bio for me that is AI search optimized, Google search optimized, social media search optimized, and just regular web driven traffic optimized. And I want you to do that for me, right? Then you paste your bio and then you say, here it is with a colon, and then you paste your bio in and you click the enter button. And I am not kidding you, in like half of a millisecond, it spits up a bunch of stuff. And it says, before I go any further, I'm going to ask you some questions. And now the AI engine is going to interview you. It's going to ask you, it's going to blow your mind. I'm not going to spoil it, but the questions it's going to ask you are going to blow your mind. You're going to answer those questions. There's usually about 10 of them. And then it's going to chew on it a little bit more and it's going to spit it out. Right. And then, like anything AI, you can get conversational with it. Okay. You can have it tweak this, tweak that. But as you're doing that, please make sure that you remind it, hey, My biggest concern is search optimization. Remind it, I don't like this, but I want to be search optimized. I don't like that, but I want to be search optimized. I'm not kidding you. In probably, I'll say 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, it's going to be done. And then you're just going to have to go cut and paste it in the different spots. And now suddenly, you've gone from nobody knows who the hell you are and can't find you to everybody knows who the hell you are and can find you, right? That's all it takes, right? So, can you imagine how long that process would take if we had to do it the old school way, like Googling, hey, what makes a bio search engine optimized? You get this big giant page of stuff that you don't understand. Then you'd have to try and figure out what the keywords were, where to place them, how to make it not look stupid, how to make it flow and not make it look like it was optimized for search when it really was. You would have to do all of that. It would take hours. And that's why we never did it, right? Let's be honest. That's why we never did it. It's going to take you 6 minutes. And then the hardest part's going to be actually going out and, repasting it in all your profiles. But you'll get over that. Okay? You'll get over that. So that's your project. Now, that's all high level. If you want to get into the weeds about some stuff, you want to get specific, now's the time. If you want to ask questions about the economy or my take on the economy or what I think is going to happen, now's the time. If you want to ask questions, why the hell I'm saying what I'm saying, now's the time. Okay, it's 35. We do have time to do that. So if you've got something to say or something to ask, let's do it right now. Let's roll. By the way, sorry to be the bearer of this news today.
How would you recommend that we respond, like if we're talking to someone and they're concerned about, what's happening in the world or what's happening in the economy?
That is a great question. Thank you. This is a huge part of what makes you a resource, right? Are there a lot of bad things going on and negative things we can talk about? Yeah. Are there a lot of positives still when somebody asked or when somebody has concerns? Yeah, there are. What I would focus on is look, I know it's scary. I know that, it's reported and it's probably actually actual that a lot of prices growing up and it's getting harder to afford things. But still, the ultimate goal is ownership. And ownership at this point in time still pays dividends long term that can't be matched anywhere else. Remember, a lot of other people are feeling uncomfortable too, which means that there's probably greater opportunities for someone who's willing to go down that path today than there will be if none of this was occurring. This is a beautiful, giant opportunity to purchase things at real value, right? On the seller side of the coin, I'm thinking about selling my house, but kitty. I'm thinking about selling my house, but I don't want to do it because I don't think it's going to sell because the world's all screwed up. Yes, there's a lot going on in the world and it's scary. But there are also, in every price range, there are still those who are extremely motivated to buy. They're just waiting for the right product, right? Not everybody has decided, hey, look, I don't like what I'm seeing on TV. I'm shutting it down. That's not what's happening. Not even close to what's happening. Let me tangent just a little bit, particularly in our markets. Remember, real estate is hyper local. Newscasts are not. All right. They talk in terms of statewide or region-wide or national. They don't talk about the islands of opportunity that our counties present, right? So the great news in all of this is if the whole world's down 15%, our primary market areas are probably only down 5. okay? Because they're great places to live, they're highly desirable, and they're close to things like beautiful recreation areas, great employment, right? Great metropolitan areas, great rural areas with lots of entertainment and lots of services and lots of resources. All right. We're always going to be in demand. Okay. So there's always going to be a pool of buyers that sellers can tap into. Fair warning, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, you've got to make sure that you do a good job and you got to make sure that we price it the right way, but there's a real opportunity for you right now too. In all of the negative, there's always positive and there's always opportunity. Focus on that rather than, yeah, I know the economy sucks. I wonder how it's going to affect us. Or, yeah, I know rates are up. Man, that's too bad. We missed that little window of 5.9 and now we're at 6 3/8. Don't focus on those things and don't dive into those conversations. Be the master of, yeah, but, right? Rates suck. Yeah, but when rates go up, prices go down, and your property tax roll is based on the purchase price, not the rate. This is a real opportunity for you to jump in and buy at value, right? I don't want to sell my house. The market sucks. I'm not going to get as much for it as I want. Well, that's not necessarily true. If we prep your house the right way, and if we market your house the right way, in your price segment, there's still a great pool of ready, willing, and able buyers that are waiting for the right property. Let's make that one yours, ours. Let's make that listing the one they're waiting for. There's not a lot of great inventory out there right now. Let's be a shining star and get it done. You're going to do really, really well, right? Lots of opportunities. Danielle, great question. Did I answer it for you?
Yes, that was good. So you're saying like the national average sales are down 15%, but in California they're only down like 5%.
Thanks for asking. That was a theoretical. No, they are not. The national sales
Oh,
are not down 15%. They are not, they're not, they're not. They're pretty much stagnant and flat, okay? Which is a shift from what we thought would be a 6 to 8% increase. So they're down from what we projected, but they're not necessarily down. They're just stagnant, flat, or maybe up 1 or 2%. Our primary market areas, rather than being up, if the national average is 0, we will probably be up 10. So, ordinarily, so right now, instead of being up 10, we're up 3 or 4, right? And Sacramento, your main area, and Placer, my main area. So we're
okay.
not necessarily on a decline yet. We're just not seeing the appreciation and the growth that we anticipated that we would see, and that we were starting to see late last year and early this year. That's kind of stopped for a minute, paused.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked because I would have been like, yeah, we're at the
What is she
national.
talking about? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else got something to add, something to ask, something to say? Be bold.
Hey, Damian, it's Chad. I'm sorry, man. I had to dip out for a minute
You're
so I
good.
missed the core of the bad news. Was that it? Just the Q1 report being a little bit less?
Uh, the Q1, well, essentially yes, a little bit less, but the trend is a little bit concerning, and the trend is a lot less. So, whereas we thought and anticipated that 2026 would bring a 6 to 8% increase in sales and appreciation, um, we've now shifted that thinking into thinking that 26 will probably be fairly flat compared to 2025, generally speaking. I happen to think that our primary market areas won't necessarily be flat. I still think that they'll be up. There'll be more opportunity, more sales, and more price appreciation than 0, but it won't be at the same rate that I was so bullish about in, say, late January, early February when I thought, I mean, you could probably go back on the meetings. I think I quoted like 12% was my guess. I don't think we're going to get close to that.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. It's still some really weird numbers that are popping up and things don't make sense. But right now, I'm having fantastic conversations just in general with, not necessarily sales meetings, but just a sphere of influence.
Yep.
In a flat market is a good market now, especially, like you said, let's not get political about it, but the last 4 or 5 years have been pretty dog days. And we're moving into a time war is always good for the economy. It's always a boost, right? So
It's always good for the economy. It's always bad for real estate.
the yes, but I'm seeing people base on what they see on TV, and if the numbers are high, if they're scared, and they're talking doomsday on TV,
Yep.
and we're saying, hey, here's numbers that show a flat market. So all of a sudden we're at a 10 or 15% better than what they thought.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you bring that up because I want to circle back to this, and this is really, really, really important. Real estate is hyper local. In the areas that we tend to service, you can pick a word. I like to call them islands, like islands in the storm, right? Bless you. The areas that we
Bubbles.
typically the the areas that we typically service are not going to take the same hit. They're not going to see the same decrease in demand. In some areas, it's going to be exactly the opposite. They're probably going to be, and I can think of them in my brain. They're probably going to be way up when everything else is either flat or down. We're very, very fortunate to be based in Northern California, uh, in some very attractive areas of Northern California. Now, please understand what's my goal here. My goal is for you not to scare you or not to make you think that it's going to be a horrible year because I don't believe that that's true. My goal here is to say, hey, look, this is what's going on. All right. If you had some kind of notion that you were going to be able to do things a certain way and have a certain result, I think to have that certain result, you're going to have to accelerate that certain way by 30%. It's going to be harder than we thought it was going to be in February. But with that said, the one wonderful thing about where we are is we will have opportunity. There will be stuff going on. There will be opportunity. Some areas, I'm afraid, some areas won't even have opportunity. That's not going to be us. We're just going
No.
to have less opportunity than I thought we were going to have in January. If you want to have the same increase, you're going to have to take more than you thought you were going to have to take. That's the whole point of this meeting. That's it.
Yeah, I think, taking a little lemon and make some lemonade.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Shit,
The
we could have
awesome,
done
thank
this
you.
in 5 minutes. I could have just said take some lemons and make some lemonade, and we could have been out of here and out enjoying the sunshine.
The second thing is, I was in and out a little bit, but I heard you talking about more about the AI and stuff, and
Yeah.
I was going to share. We talked last week about getting the bullet points
Yeah.
into you, and we had that conversation. So, um, I started that project, and I decided to let AI, since I'm trying to learn that more. I decided to let it help me,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to analyze my online presence with, the descriptions and stuff that I could
Good.
point to it.
Yep.
Some of them are the same, but like my MLS one is different and
Yep.
it's older, and then an old website and stuff. But a lot of it's regurgitated. So I said, take these summaries, and then you provide me a new
Good.
summary, and tell me what is different, special, and how to capitalize on marketing me.
Good.
And the darn thing did that, what you were talking about. It came up, it combined all of them. So I have
Yep.
now a combined theme, professional description and summary, number
Yep.
one. And then
Yep.
it said it suggested that I make a trifold brochure out of it. So it it made a brochure out of it, and it's just waiting for imagery for me to print.
Chad, let me cut you off and let me ask you one more thing, and that is, please take that bio that it created for you and tell it to make sure that it's optimized for AI search, Google search, and social media search.
Oh, yeah.
Please
Okay.
do that. Okay.
Will
The
do.
rest of it you already did, and you're way, way ahead. Now take that product that it gave you and tell it to make sure that it's optimized for AI search, Google search, and social media search, and let it chew on it.
AI, Google, social media. Got
Yep.
it.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, that's a good point. I did not do that, but what I did have to do. What I've learned is that it's kind of like working with a fifth grader or something. It's like you have to keep telling it and teaching it
Yeah.
exactly what you want, but it learns. It really does learn.
Oh no, keep using it, buddy. Pretty soon it's going to tell you what to do. I promise you.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. Then you're going to have to corral it and say, no, I really don't want that. So that's where mine is now. Mine is there. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Who else? Anything? Something to add? Something to say? Some
I,
kind of question to ask?
I would love to add something if that's
Yes,
okay.
please. Please.
I'm new here, by the way. I'm the former broker owner, so I apologize if I slide into teaching mode. Um, I sent you the Jared James link, Damian.
Yep.
Jared James was a presenter at a conference, and he talked about optimizing your BIOS.
Yep.
And I think it's absolutely worth listening to. And he's talking about getting hyper local in the BIOS, which I thought was interesting because that's what people are searching for. So something to consider. The other thing is, as we're slow, this is the best time to, you call it face to face. James and Keith called it belly to belly. And I don't have a preference on those, but the one thing belly to belly is to me, it's a little more intimate. It's a little closer. This is the time to get with your clients and truly develop a relationship with them, not just a handshake. Keep them up on what's going on in this market because I'm a new besetter. Our people, including me, are nervous because of Beale Air Force Base. Our people are in the Middle East. And so those conversations become much more personal, but that's how they think about you and remember you when it will get better. We will end up in a ceasefire. The war will end. Our rates will moderate again. And we just have to stay belly to belly, if you will, so that when that time comes, we pick up the phone and say, oh my gosh, I just found the house you're looking for. And you've already got that closer relationship than just seeing them at a chamber meeting. And that's what I want to do during this sort of slower time is just get a little more connected with my people in my database.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely. All huge. I agree with all. And yeah, we're thinking about our folks at Beale. I know that is a big, big deal for your community. Huge. All right, who else? 51, got a little bit more time. Anybody else have something to say, add, question to ask? Thank you guys for participating. It makes my afternoon much, much better when you talk. It really does. No? Okay. So I will send you a cut and paste email. It's not going to be fancy. I'm going to cut and paste my the search the project that I gave to AI for my bio. I'm going to cut and paste what I wrote. I'm going to send it to you in an email. It's going to say, here it is. Have fun. Let me know if you have questions. You'll know what it is. All right. And other than that, if you need me, you know where to find me. I will close with this. Kind of what I told Chad. The purpose of this meeting is not to scare you or to make you think that you don't have opportunity, because we absolutely will. We're blessed to live where we live. We're very, very lucky and very, very fortunate. We will have opportunity. It will be okay. But I think if you take anything from here, it's like, hey, I got to have an edge. I got to do things better than everybody else, right? If you do that, you take that attitude, you move forward through this, and you work on the things that we're talking about working on, I think you can be really, really successful. And there's going to be a bunch of you, again, at the end of the year, posting big increases and big numbers, okay? Nothing to stop you from doing that. If you need me, you know where to find me. Otherwise, I'm going to click this button in 5, 4, 3, 2. Nice graphic thing, Chad. Now I got to start over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a good afternoon.